Hey there everyone, welcome back to Weir Yard. You can see I'm up here actually enjoying a bit of Time Team and got a box set here. Time Team, very best tips. So big Time Team fan, not least because my sister was a producer on the programme for a good long time. But I thought actually today, if you pardon the noise, I'm having a bit of a running session, and that's actually currently one of my favourite locomotives. This is the Hornby Duchess of Montrose sound fitted. It's just chugging around there with a nice long rake of lit up Hornby Pullman coaches. But I'm going to stop all of these because I suspect that the sound of all these trains going round is probably going to start to drown me out just a little bit. So let's see now. I need to, in fact actually, if I just hit the stop button and then turn off the analog line. And right, what I really want to do today is give you a guided tour of the layout, because I haven't done this properly for a while, and I'm guessing a few people are quite interested to get a little bit more in-depth look at what's been going on up here in Weir Yard. I'm going to start over in this corner actually. So basically let's have a look. Lights on. So I've wired that building now to be lit up. So you can see there we've got all the lights on, and by and large pretty much this corner is all done and dusted. Essentially this corner here is like a little mini goods yard. So we've got this Hornby Scaledale goods shed, which is something which I saw whilst working on a programme that was being filmed, and I was so impressed that I actually went to Hatton's and bought my own one. Such was the level of being impressed that I had with that. So that's on one side in there. I'm casting a horrible shadow. Again, waiting to put a light in up here just to help things out. But then it's really just two sidings in this area of the layout, and I used my Metcalfe cobbling method. Did a video on that just to inset all that track. I still need to put some fencing in, and what I would really like is like a gate or something there to separate the industrial area from the main line tracks. Now this area along here, again, these are Metcalfe retaining wall kits. There's two different types. We've got the inclined ones and then the full height ones. And I actually really like these as a kit. What you see here is two sets of these wall kits plus half of one set to get that incline. The other half was adapted to go to that. I'm really pleased with that. But it's in an area where you can't really readily see it, which is a great shame. But hey, what else is going on? If we pan back here, we've got the Girder Bridge, which is made, it's actually made out of a piece of wood. Thin plywood is what the track is sat upon. But the actual size, you'll recognise those as being from the Hornby 00D1 Girder Bridge. But don't worry, I didn't pull one apart. What actually happened with these was got them second hand through a junk shop. I think I probably paid 50p each or something. And all they were is just the sides like that. They've been used on my father's Hornby 00 layout as part of the raised section that he built. And then subsequently they were part of my garden railway. And they've now made it through to this layout where they were perfect for the flyover here, which is where the incline from the lower level of the yard just over there comes up and I used the Woodland Scenics risers. Always actually confused me. I was thinking risers for the inclines, but actually no, the risers are the full height ones, and these are the incline sets, and it's 4% incline, and actually pretty much all my locomotives handle it all right. You just, some locos can pull more than others. This area here, I've talked about this before. At the moment, it's just like a flat area with a bit of ground cover on. That is going to be for the control tower for the hump yard, which hasn't been built yet. Still haven't quite decided what form that's going to take, what I'm going to make it out of. I had thought about getting a couple of the Airfix RAF World War II control tower, airfield control tower kits, but they're not in the current catalogue, and they've proven actually quite elusive to get. I'm not going to pay through the nose for them from eBay or anywhere like that, so I should just patiently wait and probably come up with a different way of doing that. We've got our signal there that's wired in, which is quite like that. Again, old Hornby 00 product. Surprising amount of Hornby 00 in here, and they made some really good products in their day. Now, this bit here did a full video on the how to use deluxe materials solid water to put a stream in. In this case, it's I should have probably tinted it. It dries completely clear, and if I put my finger down onto there, that is rock solid. But because I didn't tint it, and you have to be careful about what you use to tint it, because of the nature of the resin, if you use the wrong materials, you end up with a horrible effect, apparently. So you have to be very careful with your choice of what to mix in with it to dye it. It looks probably cleaner than it's entitled to. What I might do is put like a dirty wash over the top layer of that, or something like that. Got to have a think about that. But that's originally, when I was planning my homage to Tyne-Yard, this is actually where the Bowes Railway used to have a rope-hauled incline, and it was actually double track underneath Tyne-Yard, and there are photographs of the NCB cauldrons trundling underneath the top end of the real Tyne-Yard. I believe now it's just a footpath or something like that. Indeed, most of the bridges in the Tyne-Yard area don't carry anything. Most of the yard's been removed. But here we get two of the main, the outer two main lines, the up line and the down line, go over that bridge, and then this bridge. Both of these are a Wills Occupation bridge. Actually a pretty good kit. I quite enjoy building them and using them. I've had them knocking around for a while since I bought them at, I think it was Frising Hall Models, a few years ago actually. I originally had plans to build a diorama to be able to photograph models. That never happened, but they have found a home here now. And then we've got one of the goods, never remember whether it's an up or a down line, probably goods up line, because London would theoretically be that way, comes in here, and the line actually starts to open out into the south arrival sidings, I think these are. So you can see there that line splits again, and it just gives a theoretical place where arriving goods trains would pull into the yard to await sorting, and from there they would be taken, shunted up the incline here, and that would bring them up to the top of the yard. And here I've got my representation of the hump sidings at the top of the hump, and then these all go together and over the hump, and then into the sorting sidings, which start from there behind the turntable and the TMD. Now, I wanted to talk a bit about the engine shed in this video. I know I've talked about it an awful lot, did that video, and a lot of people agreed with me, has to be said. A few people tried to poo-poo it, and don't try and tell me that, oh, the explanation is in a craftsman kit. No, because when you buy craftsman brewed beer, it doesn't mean that you actually just get a kit to brew your own. You expect some degree of something drinkable, and in the case of a kit, you kind of expect a kit rather than materials. But anyway, that's in the past. So what you can see here is I did build it. I put my money where my mouth was, and a few people jumped in and tried to flame me quite badly, because it proved that they hadn't watched the video to the end to see that I actually did build it. I would not have produced a video where I criticised this quite so heavily if it wasn't for the fact that I did actually build it. I do know what I'm doing, I just don't enjoy it. And I'm a very firm advocate in this hobby that if you really don't enjoy doing something, you know, there's no point in being a martyr. I would have bought a different kit, because I don't mind building decent kits. It's scratch building that I despise. Yeah, I would have built something different there, or got a scaled ale or a scene craft engine shed. Part of the problem is that the tracks were laid first, with an idea that the shed would be added in at a later point. So it's all worked out, but still stand by my review. I was 100% accurate on my review, let down by poor packaging and poor templates. I mean, what's the point in producing an A4 sheet of exploded diagrams that are just ever so slightly too small? I mean, come on, people. You can quite easily have produced them the right size, but they didn't. Over in that corner, what other plans have I got for over there? Well, I quite like the idea of having some greenhouses in this little area here. Probably doesn't show up too well, certainly not on this tiny little screen that I'm viewing this on. But there's like a little grassed area there, and I was thinking of turning that into almost like allotments. Might be quite nice. I've still got some fencing to put in around the TMD area. I've got to decide what fencing I want to segregate all of this off. Probably some kind of palisade fencing, maybe. At the moment, there's nothing, which is very unprototypical. Oh yes, and I've also got a ratio oil depot kit, which is going to get built in here with the tanks and the hut, to go with this little siding here for the oil tanks, and then I'd rather like to get a roof refueling point to go here, so that there's a theoretical way of the locomotives getting actually fueled. So one of the things that's on the to-do list. But on the subject of fencing, I have been building some fencing. This is the ratio southern style precast concrete fencing, which has been painted up and glued in, and in fact some of the glue is still wet. You can see down here that glue looks a bit white, and that's because it's completely wet. In fact, you'll also notice on the feet of the Godbotherer and his two newest converts, their glue is still wet. And then I've moved a couple of cars here, probably completely out of period. What's that? A Vauxhall Viva or something like that? I'm not sure. Do they actually say underneath? There's an Oxford Rail one. It's been weathered by my fair hand. And this, is that a Vanguard or something? I don't know. They're certainly not a vehicle that you ever really see about, not even at old car shows. I suspect that these things rotted out like nobody's business, so probably not that many of them still in existence. I'm just probably going to go, oh no, actually there's loads of them. I don't remember seeing any, so there we go. DMU sidings, made a little bit of a boo-boo, built the sidings, desperately got my three-way point in, and forgot to measure how long a two-car DMU is. So as you can see, middle sidings only got the National Railway Museum support coach in there, because it won't actually fit 3 two-car DMUs, which is a shame, because I have another Class 108 unit which I kind of wanted to have in this area, but you know, sometimes these things happened. I've got a Class 128, which is a single car unit, which will possibly go in there at some point. Right, what else? This area is the lower sorting siding, so the wagons will come over the hump, down, and be directed into these sidings. Again, you know, space is always a constraint. Railway modelling is a series of compromises, and my compromise is that there's nowhere near as many sorting roads as you would expect in a real marshalling yard. But hey, this is the space I've got. Down here, oh yes, this actually, surprisingly enough, comes in for a lot of comment. And this is the training establishment. We've established that for RAF and Royal Navy personnel, probably something like meteorology or maybe languages. Somebody did suggest Russian language learning. And it's sat in the corner, and this building is recycled. I didn't build it for this layout. It was actually originally the main station building from Bolton Trinity Road. So that has been appearing in my videos for a very, very long time, but people seem to really like it now in its new location. And I need to get some lights in there. But what it's actually built from is 3 lots of the super quick market house. And I may have touched on this in a video at some point in the dim and distant past, that the super quick market house kit on its own, if you build it as per the instructions, is actually not a very usable kit, in my opinion. But it's one of the best kits in the super quick range for kit bashing. So what you see here is I've turned it into quite a large, well, originally main station building, and on the other side, which you can't see, it has the entrances for Bolton Trinity Road Station, which obviously you're not going to see. And the doors that you see there, the green one that's shut and the open one at the other end, originally went straight onto sets of stairs that went down onto the 2 island platforms of Bolton Trinity Road. Those kind of sort of very much almost like a 1890s, 1880s through to 1930s, they were still building buildings to that sort of style. It's just so versatile, absolutely versatile. I did actually consider making that a school, but I ended up with all of these services personnel, and it just worked out, in my opinion. So that's what that's made out of. Just don't forget as well, check out down below. I will put links to some of the items that I've been talking about so that you too can very easily in one-stop shop go and find all of these materials if you want to give a go of building some of the things that I've shown you here. The big hill, I talked a lot about this when I was making it. I still need to put some kind of a bush to hide where I had to cut the tunnel mouth and kink it. Yeah, I never did do that alien autopsy scene in there, or Pirates of the Caribbean. One of those things, maybe I'll do it at some point in the dim and distant future. Well, actually, we've talked a lot about down below. You can see there the line up to the surface. But I've been doing a lot of wiring. I talked about this in previous videos, to be honest with you, and it's too dark down there. In fact, actually, no, let's just leave that be. Really is too dark to show you much of what's going on down there, and it's a bit boring. It's just storage sidings. Maybe at some point I'll strap a torch to my camera wagon and send that down there to actually film stuff. Oh, yes, we've been putting some people in place, so you can see there bunch of train spotters. These come from the Woodland Scenics range, as well as Prizer, mix of different ones, again all left over from various different projects. Oh, he's fallen over, his glue hasn't taken and he's now fallen over. I need to fix him. Trees on the hillside, that's all come together. We've got the Hornby Scale Scenics ones and bulk pack at the back, the bespoke ones at the front. Again, I'll put some links to those in the description down below if you're really interested in finding some of them yourself. Santa's Little Helper has come on Got a few friends there. Again, some zombies, actually. These are all from the, it's either Noch or Preiser range. If you want some of these, you have to head over and search on the Gauge Master website. They're really the kings for importation of all the Noch and Preiser ranges. So, yeah, 3 hoes, but he ain't no Santa. And that's about where we're up to at the moment. So I'm going to go back to enjoying a bit of Tony and Time Team, and contemplate the fact that I have absolutely filled these locomotive shelves, and I still have locomotives in drawers. So I think another shelf might be in order. Yeah, maybe a small shelf above that. Gosh, you can never have too many shelves, can you? But I've been moving even more locomotives up into this cabinet. In fact, you can actually see there in the background, there's another Hornby 00 signal, which was in far too good a condition to repurpose onto the layout. I had considered it, and I decided no, it's in mint condition. It doesn't have a box, but it is in mint condition. And I'm a firm advocate that things like that, I'm not going to mess about with it. It deserves to stay as a fine example of a mid-1960s Hornby 00 product in perfect condition. That's pretty much all I've got time to talk about, really. I get told off if I talk too long. I'll get told off anyway. Oh, I do have a more comfortable seat. This is it's like a pile of cushions. Apparently it's a fold-out bed. I wouldn't want to sleep the night on that. But that has made a big difference to my poor, weary, achy knees in here. And I've had a bit of a tidy up as well, so you can see underneath here, making much better use of the space. Unfortunately, as Quality Street tins do not contain Quality Street, although I did have to take one for the team and eat all the Quality Street over several Christmases. Always keep those tins. They come in plastic tubs now, which are noticeably smaller. Yes, they have got smaller, and I know this because those are old Quality Street tins, and when you put them next to the new ones are only maybe 2/3 of those sizes. But in case you're about to add in the comments about, oh, haven't wagon wheels got smaller? No, your hands got bigger from when you were a kid. Apparently they are the same size. Somebody's going to lecture me on that as well. So I'm sorry, you appear to be mistaking me for somebody who gives a toss. But hey, I'll stop being rude to my audience now. It's probably not a good move. But there we go. This is progress on Weir Yard. I did brag last week that I'd completed it. And there's a little bit of a clickbaitiness to that title. Yeah, this is YouTube. It's how it works. But essentially, no model railway is ever finished. It looks finished insofar as there's no bare baseboard, there's no track still to be laid. But of course, there are always embellishments. So plans for the future. Well, actually, one of the areas that I keep looking at and thinking, there's scope for something there. Now, this little hollow here, it doesn't show up so well on this little screen, but it's like a big indentation. And my thoughts are, I'm seeing marshy area and a pond. So bulrushes, other swampy plant life, and some deluxe materials, solid water. So maybe that'll form a video on that. I do quite like the idea of embellishing it. Hopefully it won't leak. The deluxe materials, solid water, does have a habit of finding all of the little perforations that you can imagine. But all that'll happen is it'll end up stuck inside there. That's actually mostly full of insulation foam. So if it does leak, I'm not really sure that I'll notice it disappearing. But that's all we've got time for. So hey, I'm going to go back to playing trains, and you take really good care of yourself. It's been great to have your company. Always do enjoy your company up here in the loft for an update on Weir Yard. But until next time, don't forget, leave your comments down below. I'd love to hear what you've been up to. And also subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so. Share the videos, let other people know about the great work we're doing here. And also you can be a Patreon hero and support the channel if you want. And all of the objects, kits and otherwise that I've been mentioning today, we've got some links down below if you're particularly interested in getting some for yourself. But until next time, this is me, Kirk, saying thanks for watching. Bye for now. Today's video has been brought to you in part thanks to the generous donation of my fans on Patreon. And an extra special huge thanks goes out to Anthony Kidson, Michael Churchwood, Bob Threeton, Alec Ralph, Anthony Hunt, William Wade, Wayne Johns, Offshore Allen, and oorail.co.uk. If you'd like to help support the show, head on over to patreon.com/Jennifer Kirk. Thank you. Today's video has been brought to you by my books, Bringing Home the Stars, Twinkle Little Star, and also you can get the complete comic collections of All Over the House, Books 1, Books 2, and also the wacky zany Life of Knobty Mouse. Thanks and catch you later.